Tonight, the Sidewinders on the Citadel try to accomplish the simplest task. And I take a look at something truly special. Now, we've got a big show for you today, so we're going to just jump right in with the first article. Now, you may be used to seeing a lot of very pretty machines on this show, but none, I think, is pretty as this one. Those of you in the Systems Alliance may be familiar with the aerodynamic and decidedly awkwardly pretty lines of a Concorde and Earth's history of very elegant fighter jets. But as we've moved into space, we've gone over all blocky and ugly. But that's all about to change because of this. It's called the SR-1, and it's the first of the Normandy class. It cuts through space like a rather vicious shark, all angular and determined and purposeful, sort of slung low between those giant, hulking, flared engines. It's vicious and rather like a muscle car. It could have been designed by Aston Martin, but it wasn't. It's actually a co-development between the Turian hierarchy and the Systems Alliance, and it's funded by the Asari. And it goes like this. Those giant 4 engines are based on a Turian 3-axis engine design. But the humans have got a little nuts with it. It's not just 3-axis, it's not 4-axis, it's 6-axis. Meaning that these engines can turn quite a bit. Meaning that this ship not only has savage amounts of power, but it also turns like a stabbed rat. Meaning it's a very effective little scout ship. But it's not a scout ship. This is a frigate, and a small one at that, at only 220 meters long. It still has these giant big engines. It still has an axial-mounted mass driver, point defense rail systems, and optronically guided deflector screens. You're wondering, how on earth could they possibly get all that into such a little shape? The secret is this. A Tantalus drive core is bigger than any other drive core in any other ship in the world. It's got more element 0 than an entire wing of fighters. That's 144 fighters flying around in there to make this thing go very, very fast. And it's worth it. Because not only does it let this go very, very fast, 0 to 600,000 in 7.8 seconds, but this is the first ship that has ever successfully integrated stealth technology. I know what you're thinking. How can something with such massive engines be completely undetectable? The secret is the internal emission sinks. A bunch of special technological witchcraft that goes on inside behind this massive drive core that just sucks up all its emissions, and the engines don't produce any heat because they're not in use. This clever core creates artificial singularities in front of the ship, and the ship then just falls in. It's completely undetectable unless you look out a window, but you can't see it. Now all of this must make it a very desirable craft. It's very, very pretty, it's incredibly small, it only has something like 30 crew, which is less crew than your bread box. and it goes like a stab badger. You'd love to command one, and the sad thing is, you're never going to. They're not going to build anymore. They say it costs too much. They say they could have an entire wing of fighters, that's 3 carriers worth of fighters, for the same cost as the drive core alone, not to mention all the clever engineering that allows these vectored engines to reconfigure into different flight poses. The severely limited interior space, which means that if you're a crew member, you have to sleep in one of these and eat on your front doorstep. The science lab and the cargo room are the same place. The armory, for example, is where they store the car, in the garage, which means if there's a breach in the door, most likely place, all your guns get sucked out into space. It's too risky, it's too ludicrous, it's too stupid. It's not a proper fighting ship. It's a boondoggle. But men of limited vision said the same thing about these. And these. So maybe, if men of vision succeed in the world, we might see a few more of these. Or rather, we won't see them at all.